Welcome back. It's time for another quick tea and biscuit break. And as I had a production meeting yesterday to discuss a series that's up and coming for one of our clients, they asked me to bring in an SBR, short-barreled rifle, and to demonstrate what it looked like, so the art department could get a better kind of understanding of it. And unusually, the DOP was already there. So the DOP was there. There was about 5-6 people around the table. So I brought in one of our trusty AR platforms that we're going to modify for his production, which basically the modifications are really simple. A lot of them will have for airsoft use written in quite bold letters. We abrade that, take it off. We take away any kind of visual signs that it's an airsoft and make it matter and blacker. Also, the barrel on this particular one is silvered, and we'll take that out and we'll re-black it, so the whole thing becomes a very straightforward black AR rifle, which is synonymous with UK tactical, police, military, any of the sort of pretty serious players will have access to this type of firearm. I have to obviously state, this firearm is a airsoft. It is designed for two things: skirmishing and airsofting, sort of like paintballing, but with little hard ball bearings that are made of plastic, which do sting. So we don't recommend anyone shooting these at any casual bystander. And if you don't have the correct paperwork, the police will treat this in exactly the same way as a real firearm, because the offence is causing fear, and they look realistic. I wouldn't want to wave one around in the street, because when the real police turn up with the real guns, there's a pretty good chance they don't know who you are and they'll do something that will stop you dead. So that aside, what we have, this is the American pattern, which is slightly unusual in that it won't engage the safety unless the cycled action is ready to fire. So we can just rack it, and now we can engage the safe. It won't fire. Come off safe. It'll fire once. The air cartridge that's inside the magazine will cycle the action. It will then reset and will fire again. And this is obviously semi-automatic, so the faster you move your trigger finger, pop, 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 it'll fire. Or you can select full auto, and you get about 15-20 actions, firings, and then in post, the post-production team will put the barrel flashes on, the shells ejecting from the correct side. We've had quite a lot of videos recently on the one with the N, ba-bong, where the shell cases are ejecting this side. And obviously the ejection port is on the right, so we can actually show that and demonstrate that it's empty, and you can look inside the magazine well, and there's light coming through the other side, so we know it's empty. And like this, it'll now fire. The firearm is now discharged, and this is the clever bit. This is the magazine which holds the compressed gas. To demonstrate it, I thought I would just rack the thing, and you can actually listen to what it does. So it's now cycled. This is on semi-automatic, and you can see it's got moving parts on this side as well. And if we then select full auto and just rack off whatever gas is in there, obviously the scene would stop after the first initial 5 to 10 round burst, because the loss of pressure is quite significant. You can see gas escaping, which is all good, and it gives the post-production guys quite something to work with to make it look really cool. And that's about it, really. It is one of the biggest changes in production that we've had with modern, reliable airsoft tools that we can bring to market and give our clients, our higher clients, a really good, accessible cost tool to use in their creative outlet. This is something that's really important, and a lot of folks kind of forget that. In the old days, firearms or film armourers had very limited pathways to come into the industry. Firstly, either an engineer or a shooter, or you may have been in the police or a military guy, and you've kind of got the weapons platform down to an art. You know exactly what you're doing with it. Then you would have to join one of the companies. There's probably only half a dozen of the big ones. And then you would build up your resume to get trust and engagement with the end user. And invariably, then people go freelance and disappear and end up being lead armourer and lead production guy for Armoury in bigger films. That's always been the standard pathway. This has now gone completely out of the window with the coming to market of Airsofts. Now you don't necessarily have to be ex-military or police. You don't really have to be an armourer or have a great deal of knowledge in engineering. What you can do is you could be a competent operator that has access to these things. They're quite reasonably priced. They're not beyond anyone. And you can become an entry-level film armourer. As I've said before, the production levels are split into three, which is micro budget, low budget, and then high value TV and film. So bringing Airsofts into the production realm has been an absolute game changer, and I think to some degree it's probably upset quite a lot of the old guard, and to some degree perhaps the market needed it. It's something that has had to change. A lot of companies, just the cost of acquisition has become too high. They want specific things, they just can't afford them, they can't have them. So Airsoft is a game changer, and long may that continue with good manufacturers that bring out very reliable and realistic products. So hope that's been of use to you. If you have any interest in attending our next actors firearms familiarization course, I think that will take place in Weybridge towards the end of September. I think there's a few bookings already in place for that. Drop a like down here, subscribe. If we can help you get into film armory, if we can help you to become a more valuable background artist, supporting artist with some of the courses that we run, even better. And that, have a lovely weekend. I'm off on set for a couple of days, so we'll catch up later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.